You are looking at the moment that the island nation of Dominica made its Winter Olympic debut, the first moment that two athletes from this small country in the Caribbean walked out at the opening ceremony in Sochi in 2014. It's kind of an incredible story when you think about it. Dominica is an island in the Caribbean with just 70,000 people, one of the smallest countries in the Olympics, and it doesn't have any snow. It's a beautiful tropical paradise. It looks like this. It's gorgeous, but no snow. And yet, they managed to produce two athletes who are apparently good enough at skiing to compete in the Winter Olympics. Just a couple problems. Number one, these skiers are not actually good enough to be in the Winter Olympics. They're pretty much amateurs, recreational level cross-country skiers who have no business competing against the best athletes in the world. Second of all, they're not actually even from Dominica, the island they're representing. The flag bearer from Dominica, proudly carrying his nation's colors, is actually a guy named Gary DeSilvestri from Staten Island, a millionaire investment banker who now lives in Montana. He and his wife, Angelica, that's the other athlete walking right behind him in the parade, gained citizenship not because they're from Dominica or because they live there or because they have family from there, but because they bought it. Dominica has a program where if you pay enough money, they'll give you a passport. It's about $175,000, and they each paid money to become citizens from this country and then represented that country in the Olympics. They had never actually spent significant amounts of time in Dominica. At the time of the 2014 Olympics, when they competed for the country, Gary said that he was hoping after the Olympics to spend some time there. Gary DeSilvestri did not start skiing until after his 30th birthday. He was ranked 3,306th in the cross-country skiing rankings. Do you realize how long I had to scroll just to even get to Gary? How long I was just doing. You might think, oh, well, maybe he won some race to get into the Olympics, like a qualifying event. Nope. In his last race before the 2014 Olympics, he finished 35th out of 36 skiers, about 6 minutes behind the winner, who himself was not someone who made the Olympics in skiing, was not good enough. In Sochi, they do not win any medals. They do not even complete the races. Gary quits his race about 300 meters into a 15-kilometer event. He says that he has a case of gastroenteritis, most likely from drinking the local water. Also, that his race skis were stolen. Really unbelievably unlucky. Angelica, for her part, suffers a pretty serious accident in training and requires several surgeries to fix broken bones in her face. I feel bad for her that happened, but it's also kind of a sign maybe the people in the Olympics should be good at skiing. There are questionable athletes in lots of Olympic events. Who can forget our girl Raygun, who had her own sort of idea of what breakdancing was supposed to look like. But every 4 years, the Winter Olympics attracts a special sort of semi-athlete because of how much money it costs to participate in these sports and because of how few countries are actually able to field teams. There's a type of quasi-athlete who somehow finds their way into the Winter Olympics. I've rounded up their stories, and I'd like to present to you a how-to guide on how to buy your way into the Winter Olympics. Which brings us to our first strategy for buying your way into the Winter Olympics. Find a country where nobody knows how to ski. In the Milan opening ceremonies, you will see exactly one athlete from the nation of Guinea-Bissau in West Africa, a nation slightly north of the equator in West Africa where it is never cold, it is hot every day all year long, and there is no snow at all. His name is Winston Tang. He is not from Guinea-Bissau, he is from Park City, Utah. His father, Thomas Tang, represented Taiwan in the 1988 and 1992 Olympics in downhill skiing, and he then went on to found a tech company called Apantac. Obviously, Winston is an American citizen, but there are hundreds of other Americans who are better than him at skiing, so he can't represent the US if he wants to go to the Olympics. Why not represent Taiwan in the Olympics? Well, the thing is, there are other people from Taiwan who know how to ski. I mean, if they were putting someone like his dad in the Olympics 30, 40 years ago, it's a place where you're going to find other people who know how to ski. In fact, there's someone else trying to make the Olympics in alpine skiing from Taiwan. His name is Troy Chang. He lives in California, but he competes for Taiwan, And he's about as good at Winston at skiing. If you look at their FIS pages, both of them compete in a lot of the same events. They have similar results. This event from 2025, you see Winston is 9th, Troy is 12th. So if your goal is to compete in the Olympics, this is kind of tough. You know, you're head to head with this guy. You're neck and neck. You know, one good race by him, he might get your spot on the team. So his father, Thomas Tang, the former Taiwanese Olympian, founds the Winter Sports Federation of Guinea-Bissau. He becomes the Secretary General of this organization, and Thomas Tang becomes the first skier from there. I'm not exactly sure how he got citizenship from Guinea-Bissau. In June 2025, now that his dad has founded the Winter Sports Federation of Guinea-Bissau, Winston Tang switches his nationality from USA to Guinea-Bissau. It turns out to be a really smart move, because after a series of races in late 2025, he actually gets jumped in the rankings by Troy Chang from Taiwan. As of right now, Troy is ranked 2,604th and is going to the Olympics to represent Taiwan. They have to say Chinese Taipei in the Olympics. And Winston is ranked 2,816th, representing Guinea-Bissau. The decision to switch his nationality pays off. He gets to go to the Olympics. Great job, everybody. The second way to buy your way into the Winter Olympics: start a clothing factory in a foreign country. I'm not making this up. There have been at least 2 competitors in the Winter Olympics representing countries they were not born in because their dad owned a clothing factory in that country. At the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, Swiss-born Cynthia Dantzler represents Colombia, a nation where her dad owns a clothing factory. 4 years later, Italian-born Alessia Di Pol represents Togo, a country in West Africa, not too far from Guinea-Bissau, actually. She tells press, "My father has a factory in Togo that specializes in sports clothes. He has a feeling for the nation, and I have an opportunity to represent Togo, and I am proud of this." The third strategy for buying your way into the Winter Olympics: find a sport that nobody does. Kind of easy in the Winter Olympics, actually. This is Elizabeth Swaney. She is from California. She works in finance. She has kind of like a history of like doing attention-seeking things that she probably shouldn't be doing, if we're being honest. She had an unsuccessful run for governor of California, an unsuccessful run for mayor of Oakland, an unsuccessful appearance on American Ninja Warrior. Her YouTube channel has like an acting reel, and it has her trying to be a sportscaster. She was the coxswain of her rowing team in college, which is nice. And at some point in her life, she decides she really wants to go to the Olympics. And so she makes a lot of attempts in a lot of sports. She tries to represent Venezuela and then later Israel in skeleton, the sport where you slide down the luge track head first. Surprisingly tough competition out there in skeleton, so she doesn't make it either time. She said she wants to do weightlifting at a future Olympics. With all those failed attempts to make the Olympics in other sports, she has her greatest success in half-pipe skiing. Basically, she does a little bit of math, she looks at the qualification setup, and she comes to a realization: there are more spots in the Olympics than there are serious competitors to get into the Olympics. There are 24 spots in the Olympics in the women's halfpipe, but she realized that a lot of the World Cup events that are producing the points that you need to qualify have less than 30 competitors. And like a lot of them are from the same few countries, you know, United States, Japan, Korea, China. So there are limits on how many people can represent each country. So she kind of realizes if she just keeps showing up to events, she's gonna get in. If she pays to travel across the world and enter these events, she doesn't even have to do that well. She just has to show up. There are not enough people competing in this sport to keep her out. So she flies across the globe. She goes to China. She goes to New Zealand. She goes to Korea, competing in all these qualification events. She doesn't have to win them. She doesn't even try to win them. She doesn't do tricks. You earn points by doing tricks. She doesn't try to do that. She just goes down the half pipe without falling and finishes in last place most of the time. Sometimes someone like falls and doesn't make it down the run and she finishes ahead of them. And it works. She qualifies for the 2018 Olympics without doing any tricks. And she competes presenting Hungary. She has family from Hungary. She, again, does not do any tricks. She just goes down the half pipe, does nothing, does not fall over. She finishes in dead last, well behind someone who actually does crash on both of her runs. But she accomplished her goal. She made it to the Olympics.
What did it mean to be part of this Olympic experience?
Oh, it's just been amazing. I heard I was the first freestyle athlete from Hungary to make it to the Olympics, so I just wanted to make Hungary proud and just people around the world kind of motivated to chase their dreams. I've tried really, really hard to make it here, and I'm so grateful to be just representing freestyle skiing in Hungary especially.
Strategy number 4. For buying your way into the Winter Olympics. Be a prince. Be the prince of a country. So this is going to be tough for most of us to do. Prince Albert of Monaco. He's actually the guy in charge of Monaco. They don't have like a king. It's a principality. They just have a prince. I don't know why they decided to do it that way. He's the guy in charge, and he's also in charge of the bobsled team, and he goes to 4 Winter Olympics as a bobsledder. He is the driver of the bobsled, as in he's the guy who steers it. I don't know what it looks like when you steer a bobsled. And he has a bunch of his citizens push him. Great metaphor. He's not exactly good at it. In the 1992 Olympics, he finishes behind the Jamaican bobsled team, which is so famous from the movies. Then in 1994, he is behind Puerto Rico, but ahead of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So, yeah, he's like right up there with America's various Caribbean islands. But the most prolific prince at the Winter Olympics is Prince Hubertus Rudolf zu Hohenlohe-Langenburg, who is, of course, from Mexico. You knew that, right? Prince Hubertus represented Mexico at 21 World Championships and 6 Winter Olympics from 1984 to 2014. He was the oldest competitor at a bunch of World Championships and a bunch of Olympics. There was not really a lot of competition to be on the Mexican ski team, so he got to do it for 30 years. Prince Hubertus is in fact born in Mexico. There's no games or gimmicks here. He's actually from Mexico, grew up there, speaks Spanish, but as a child he moves to Europe and learns how to ski there. He's a member of the royal family of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, which ruled over a small part of Germany a few hundred years ago. Skiing is in his blood. In fact, one of his uncles, Prince Maximilian Emmanuel Maria Alexander Victor Bruno de la Santísima Trinidad y Todos los Santos zu Hohenlohe-Langenburg, represented Liechtenstein in the 1956 Olympics. I am not recording a second take of that. I nailed it. Honestly, you know what? I like Prince Hubertus. He's got like a music career. He's like a eccentric guy. Es alguien que cante flamenco. Yo no sé cantar flamenco. Yo no sé cantar flamenco. Lo que sí que sé. And also, like, he really kind of does put on for Mexico. He made these mariachi uniforms. He goes out of his way to promote Mexican skiers. When eventually some other Mexican skiers do show up, he really promotes them and kind of puts them on. Our 5th strategy for buying your way into the Winter Olympics. Compete in rigged races. In a sport like track or swimming, there will be like minimum qualifying times. If you swim the 200-meter backstroke in under this time, you're Olympic quality. That doesn't really make sense for a sport like skiing, where the mountains are different, the courses are different. You can't like just set a time, so you have to come up with another standard. Basically, the way these FIS points are awarded is it's based on the quality of racers you're racing against and how far behind them you finish. You know, if you finish a second behind the 100th best skier in the world, that's different from finishing a second behind the best skier in the world. But it is a system that can be manipulated. And this article in Ski Racing Media kind of lays out how people have done it over the years. It says in the 2022 Olympics, there are a few races that kind of look sketchy, where you have a bunch of racers from what it calls exotic nations, you know, the ones we've been talking about throughout this video, but they're mixed in with a couple of high quality racers who basically have their worst race ever. And this happens a few times, and it allows people to pick up their qualifying totals because they were somewhat competitive against these quality skiers. The article says, 9 grown men holding passports from exotic countries qualified because they competed against a bunch of highly scored racers who magically underperformed at every single race, at a frequency defying all statistical odds. It's morally and ethically questionable, and hardly the spirit of the Olympic Winter Games. What might have happened, and we don't know, there was no disciplinary action or anything, we can't prove anything, is like, you're the 5,000th best skier in the world, but you invite like the 200th best skier in the world, and he doesn't do so great, and you finish kind of close to him, and that gives you the credentials you need to qualify for the Winter Olympics, is how this would look in practice. We don't know if that's what happened in 2022, and I'm not going to say that anyone did it for these upcoming Olympics. But we do have an example of a series of manipulated races which allowed a famous person to squeak into the 2014 Winter Olympics. That celebrity is a woman named Vanessa Mae. She is a kind of pop classical violinist. I don't know why this exists. I personally was not aware of her fame until I heard about this skiing thing. But this happened, this really happened, and she's apparently very famous. A lot of people are very excited by a woman who plays cool violin, cool violin that's not your grandpa's classical music. This is sexy violin. Wait, no, it's which is the hand where you do the strings? She decides at a certain point that she's tired of making music, she wants to ski. And she wants to represent her father's homeland of Thailand. Great. We love it. The circumstances of her qualification are not exactly legit. She ends up competing in a series of events which, it turns out, are specifically organized for the purpose of getting her into the Olympics. They're billed as the Thai National Championships, except they're not in Thailand, where there's no snow and no skiing. They're in Slovenia, and she's the only Thai person competing. And these races are shams. A recently retired skier comes out of retirement and performs pretty badly, but it helps Vanessa get the points she needs to qualify for the Olympics. Vanessa qualifies for the Olympics. She gets to represent Thailand at the 2014 Olympics. People remark that she does not look like a competitive skier at all. She finishes in dead last by 12 seconds. Not 12 seconds behind the leader of the race, mind you. 12 seconds behind the person in second to last place. In this race at the 2014 Olympics, Michaela Schifrin is off the leader by half a second, 0.50, and she finishes 5th. She doesn't even make the podium. And Vanessa is 50 seconds behind that. She's 25 seconds worse than Alessa De Pol, the woman we mentioned earlier who's from Italy, whose dad ran a sweatshop in Togo. 25 seconds worse than the Togo sweatshop lady. Vanessa might finish in last, but she has a great time skiing at the Olympics. She's one of the stars of the show. People are lining up to interview her. She gets to have dinner with Vladimir Putin. She's a celebrity, and she has a celebrity time at the Olympics. But after the Olympics, now that she's had her fun, people start looking into those races. And the FIS, the International Ski Organization, investigates and determines they were super duper rigged. They're finding all these inconsistencies. There are skiers who didn't even compete in the races that were listed. There's all sorts of stuff wrong. And they banned Vanessa from skiing for 4 years. The president of the International Ski Federation says, "At first we were laughing about what happened, but then we realized it's quite a serious thing." She appeals the ban. And she says, look, the races were rigged. Sorry about that. But I didn't know it happened. I was just racing in these rigged races. I didn't rig them myself. She makes, I think, the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard anybody make at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which is like the Supreme Court for Olympic stuff. She says, this just happens to me because I'm a celebrity and people try to help me out. People do nice stuff for celebrities. You see someone famous, you want them to like you. You do something nice for them, hoping that you could be their friend. She says this is what happens to her. And here's the crazy thing. She wins. She wins the case, saying that she didn't know the races were rigged. people just do this for celebrities. The official ruling says, Vanessa Mae is a world-famous musician. The officials and participants allowed themselves to be smitten by this. The bans for the race officials are upheld. The ban for Vanessa Mae is overturned, and in fact, it's ordered that FIS has to pay her a fine for defaming her. Which brings us, at long last, to our final method for buying your way into the Olympics. Just be so famous that people rig Olympic qualification races for you. Easy! Which is what we're gonna try to do here. I'm gonna try to become so famous that people rig Olympic qualification races for me. And to do that, I need you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, you probably should be subscribed anyway. But you know, I figure we get me up to 4,000, 5,000 subscribers. You know, you hit that button, I become famous, and I get to be in the Olympics. Please. This is my dream. I have always wanted to represent a Caribbean island nation or a country in Africa that I've never visited in the Olympics. And the only way I can do that is if enough of you like and subscribe this video. I think we're gonna make it happen. And just people are gonna be flocking to rig snowboarding events for me. And I can live my dream. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and thanks for making my Olympic dream come true.